Before we dive into the carbon removal rules and so forth,
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously a bit of a dichotomy because our rockets do produce carbon, you know. And
true.
people are like, oh, what a hypocrite. You know?
Sure, no. We got.
He's obviously just in for the money.
But let's talk about the Crew 2
But I
mission.
feel I should address this. Aren't you being a hypocrite by launching rockets that produce carbon? Here's the problem is right now there's really no way to get around the physics of a rocket. So I think it's important for the long-term preservation and ultimately the expansion and extension of the scope and scale of consciousness and the long-term probability of survival of humanity and life as we know it. We must become a multi-planet species. Because there are all these risks that we can't control.
Existential risks.
There's all these
asteroid strikes.
Risks. Yeah. There's like
super volcanoes.
We could do, we could have a World War III or something. You know, there's, like I'm optimistic about the future, but you can also say like, okay, well, so how long do you think civilization will last before there's a catastrophic event? If you say infinity, this is not correct.
Yes.
Okay. This is not. History does not suggest that. History just suggests we do dumb things to civilizations all the time, you know, and you know, the ancient Egyptians, the Romans, ancient Romans, where are they now? Let's do the video series. Where are they now?
Yes.
The Babylonians,
peak.
Sumerians, you name it, you know. So, so there's been many civilizations that have risen and fallen, and anyway, we've got to preserve. We've got to become multiplanetary, and right now the only way to do that is with rockets that do burn fuel. But we do have a long-term plan for sustainability of even rocket flights by generating propellant using sustainable energy, wind and solar, to generate, starting first with liquid oxygen. And for our Starship vehicle, it's almost 80% liquid oxygen and 20% liquid methane. The oxygen, it's obviously pretty easy to create that. You just use wind and solar electricity, and you do air separator because you've got the oxygen already in the air. The plants are making the oxygen, so you can just use electricity, basically renewable electricity, to create 80% of the propellant on the rocket. And then for the remaining 20%, you can use the Sabatier process, where you actually take CO2 out of the atmosphere and you combine that with water to create CH4 and more O2.
Yep.
And that's in fact what we would do on Mars.
Sure.
To generate propellant.
Sure.
So there is a long-term plan for sustainable generation of propellant for the rockets. I do want to emphasize that. And if there's some other way to do that now, we certainly would.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to sort of address this apparent inconsistency in if generating carbon is bad, why are you doing that with rockets?
Yeah.
He uses two arguments basically. First, they have a plan to produce propellant in a sustainable way. What that means is they'll use electricity from green sources to create propellant from gases in the atmosphere. Then, when you subtract the amount of CO2 consumed during this process from the amount of CO2 created during rocket launch, you get zero. In other words, they will achieve net zero emissions. Second, use rockets as a plan B for humanity, which is far more important than anything. What if our quest to stop global warming fails? What if there comes a much bigger threat that will destroy our planet? What then? There is currently only one man on Earth who can offer a solution to this problem. It's Elon Musk. We shouldn't let this opportunity to slip through our fingers. I would add two more arguments to support Elon's stance. First, technological developments in rocket and space industries are going to produce new ways of mitigating emissions. And this is no surprise. More effective rockets. We can't just stop using rockets because we want to. We need them, at minimum, for delivery of satellites to orbit. Our information technologies and networks can't work without satellites, and they have to be replaced and maintained by the time. Even the giant rockets, as Starship, can be very effective at the task thanks to ride-sharing, when it's possible to put more satellites in a fairing and launch them at once. SpaceX is doing this regularly. Last time they launched 53 satellites on Falcon 9. Just imagine how much they could launch on a Starship. Another example are small nuclear reactors. Some time ago, NASA contracted few suppliers to develop nuclear reactor for usage in space. Then they will use them both as a basis for a rocket engine and as an electricity generator on places like Mars. On Earth, there are small nuclear reactors which can return trust to nuclear power, end our energy crisis, and cut the emissions at the same time. My second point is we can relocate generation of energy to space and transmit it to Earth using lasers. Most of the time I hear about solar panels in space, which has many advantages, as for example constant exposure to the sun rays and smaller losses thanks to vacuum. Mining of raw materials outside of our planet can help to save the environment as well. For example, there are already plans to mine Moon for rare earth minerals, mining of which can be devastating to our environment here on Earth. It is perfectly clear that protesting against companies that try to develop cutting-edge technologies when you try to create a new, modern, sustainable world is not the brightest idea. We should give our support to people who try to advance humanity, not try to bash them. Anyways, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the content, please like the video. Have a nice day!